Welcome, my beautiful friends, families, beings from all over the world. I know it's a humble channel, but I know I have a few that are on the other side of the world, so I appreciate every one of you. Today, I'm going to talk finally about the sense of seeing, and this is very tied in with the sense of hearing. Very crucial for our understanding of our interaction with individuals and communities and TV and etc. So basically, there's a very popular saying that the eyes are the windows of the soul. But before I get to that aspect of seeing, I want to briefly read about the function of the eyes. And this is I'm reading from the National Eye Institute. It's very short. How the eyes work. It says here all the different parts of your eyes work together to help you see. First, light passes through the cornea, the clear front layer of the eye. The cornea is shaped like a dome and bends light to help the eye focus. Some of this light enters the eye through an opening called the pupil. The iris, the colored part of the eye, controls much light the pupil lets in. Next, the light passes through the lens, a clear inner part of the eye. The lens works together with the cornea to focus light correctly on the retina. When the light hits the retina, a light-sensitive layer of tissue at the back of the eye, special cells called photoreceptors turn the light into electrical signals. These electrical signals travel from the retina through the optic nerve to the brain. Then the brain turns the signal into images you see. So that is a brief description of the functions of our beautiful, amazing eyes, which I'm grateful that I have, and I assume many of you do, because it really, as I read it, I had to read it a few times because it was fascinating how it talks about how much light it enters and how the iris controls the amount of light that comes in, and then goes, obviously, at the end of the day, it goes up to the brain after the photoreceptors, and it just captures the image. So that's pretty deep already there. But in this case, I want to talk about what we choose to see and not to see, consciously or unconsciously, based on our personal individual perception, which is based on many factors, especially what we're taught, our beliefs, our religious beliefs, cultural languages, the state of emotion in which you're at. All these factors really play in hand with our eyes of what we see and how much we see or not see, as I said. I do have, and I hope you can hear it, a little recording from a 93-year-old. Consider her my friend now. She is fascinating. And I'm going to put a couple of minutes so you can hear her talk wisely about perception. So let's see.
So we have to realize there's a lot of perspective out there and a lot of people that look at things differently from the way I do. And I can't say they're wrong and I'm right. That's not true. Some parts they're right, and sometimes I'm wrong. I mean, and sometimes we don't ever know. We just look at it differently. And that's not that bad either. I think it's nice to try to appreciate the different perspective people have. Because we think of it, oh, I never thought of it that way, but that's doesn't that go through your mind sometimes?
Yeah, that's
and you go, that's why you're thinking, yeah. And what it does, when you begin to talk and know people, your world expands because you're getting new ideas, new faces, new everything's coming. And the more you do that, the more you expand in your life and you don't stick to one little area.
Very well said.
So it's good to have friends. It's good to move out and make social. It's good to go to school and learn different kids. It's good to do all the things you do away from home. Because otherwise, if you stay home all the time and you're only with the parents and only with your siblings, you're going to stay pretty rigid. You know, you're not going to see the world as it really is. And you know, the thing is, the world is a lot of things. Nobody sees it completely.
Yeah.
We only see parts of it. Isn't that interesting?
Very interesting.
I think, you know, if we do begin to see that when we see it, I think we appreciate each other better.
Absolutely.
And I think we appreciate what other people say.
Absolutely.
I mean, I got my garden. I've been there for ages. People come, they'll see something I don't see. And they'll tell me, I think, well, you know, and then I look at it differently. I think, well, that's right, too. You know, it's kind of nice to expand yourself. And that's what you do when you have friends and people that don't think the same as you. You're beginning to expand. You can't.
I cut it there, but I thought she was very wise at that moment. I mean, she's super interesting, and unfortunately, she's suffering with dementia. But in moments where she starts to talk, and because she loves to read, so she has a bunch of books all around her. But just to hear her say that, especially when I had a experience the day before about allowing, and I'm not saying, you know, that there is good information, and there's not so good information, and that's obviously a point where you have to make decisions and sit back and make choices based on what you have heard. But in this case, you know, we're talking about the sense of seeing, about what you see. So for her to say that was pretty interesting, and I hope you heard it. I had it on my phone. But again, the then you know, the perception based, again, the question would be now is, how much are we truly seeing or allowing ourselves to see with our eyes? Consciously or unconsciously, are we making that choice? Or are we subconsciously being held back because there's many things happening nowadays that when I look and I observe people and they're saying certain things that at this point in time, and I'm not saying I have all the answers, but with the current circumstances right now of people still at this point, even when there's revelations of what's being done, and we're seeing it with our own eyes. We're seeing numbers, as you know, right now with fraudulent uh, things that happen and are happening and are being exposed massively right now. And still, certain consciously are holding on to their ideas and perceptions because they still, for whatever reason, want to hold on to them. But some of them, as well, unconsciously, I mean, I guess we can call this cognitive dissonance, where even looking at being shown the evidence, they're just literally looking away. And if you, I don't know if you notice some people, you can tell it in their eyes. Their eyes are moving all around, and it seems like it's the weirdest thing. It's like for some reason it's their minds are just set to that understanding, and it seems like it's blocked. That's the way I can explain it. and then you can see their eyes just going back and forth or roaming around, and there it's just not going through. And again, on a natural and healthy um, conversation, and you would think that, okay, let me just take a look at it. Let me actually now, wow, there's some stuff out there. Let me look into it. But some not even not they're not going to even go there. So that's another another topic. But there's an experience that I wish to share that I can as well bring forth what I'm trying to say with this experience. And again, it's what's happening right now, and it's the money laundering. It's despicable. I mean, to know all the trillions that are coming out. I mean, right now it's billions, but it's going to be, from what I can tell, it's going to be trillions because this has been happening for years. That even at this moment, like I said, there's still individuals that are not able to understand and grasp, even by through their eyes, what's going on. And in this case, I wonder, there is a disconnect maybe with the heart and mind, because why some do and some don't. And that would be probably another topic to talk about. But I feel, in my personal opinion, there is some sort of disconnect, and it might be the heart and mind disconnect, and you're only in the mind, in the privet, in the they call it the lizard brain, the fight or flight mind, back of the head, where basically you're stuck into this set of thoughts, and that's where you're at. But the example that I want to give you is that years ago, I used to work for, I'm not going to probably give you details of, I used to work in an office, let's put it that way. And I worked for many years. I left once because I felt it wasn't the right place for me. But 2008 came, and obviously that was a very tough year for many of us economically. And the company that I was working for had to shut down, so I had to go back to the old job, which he was always calling me back to come back. I had trained a young lady before I left. I trained her how to manage the office. And when I came back, unfortunately, uh, I caught her stealing and what they call money laundering. Um, and it was a shocker for me because I would have never thought that she would do this. Her demeanor, the way she was, etc. Young with a kid, had gone through some trouble with her husband at that time, whatever. But the only way I could have seen that is that I had part of me was open to the idea that certain things can happen. And when I opened that door and realized what was really happening, I had to make a really big decision. And obviously, I had to say the truth. But before I approached my boss about the situation, I had to really grasp what was going on, capture it, and put it into sequence so I can explain to my boss exactly why I knew she was stealing from him. Obviously, I was a nervous wreck. And when the day came that I just sat down and had everything laid out on how it was happening, he was pale, and he just couldn't talk. And long story short, he came to me, and he was thankful. But then for some reason, I saw him, and he started to change what he was thinking and seeing. And then he asked me, "Well, why didn't you tell me before?" I was very pissed when he said that. I said, how dare you? You know, I took all this time to explain to you. I just came back to work for you. I saw this. You didn't see it. You have all the reports in front of you, and you already now you're coming to me to, to kind of somewhat doubt what I'm saying and maybe think that I'm part of it. That was messed up. But that was another story. The case of what I'm trying to say is I decided to see something and open my perspective to the point of the possibility of someone that I thought was good. And I'm not saying she's terrible, but she did a big mistake, major mistake of doing those actions. I did my part to get all the facts as best as possible to do the right thing. I gave the presentation, I explained to him what was going on. And then for him to see things differently, that was on him. But I knew in my heart I did the right thing. So basically what happened was is that we had to set up in order to catch her, we had to catch her on the spot. I had to suck it up and make believe that I didn't know anything was going on because I didn't want to be a target for basically um, being the one to tell him. So I kind of removed myself from that. But I had to fake, we all had to, him and I had to fake uh, the situation in order to catch her in the act. And that's how it was. You know, unfortunately, she took money and instead of depositing, she would deposit some money into his account and she created another account and deposited money on that account with obviously clients' money. So the situation was that they eventually caught her, and you know, I think she was in house arrest, but that was a long time ago. But I guess the point of this is to show you, in his case, what he chose to look at and to believe, and who he trusted and not trusted, which for me was, you know, to basically backfired back to me and you know and slapped me in the face. Thank you, but no thanks. But it is what it is. But here in a bigger scale, what's going on in the US is huge. And now I can, and many of us can understand why it took so long to do, you know, this treacherous 4 to 5 years. I know it was happening a long time ago, but when 2020 happened for us here, we were like, oh my gosh, why can't we just get this over with? But now I understand that in order to reveal all this fraud, that it's going to just continue to unravel, you know, it takes a while to to get, I mean, obviously Elon Musk is doing an amazing job and it's brilliant, but on another note, this money is going to lead to many other evil things that unfortunately has been happening with our taxpayers' money, which is absolutely insane. But I wanted to give you that example. So the the sense of seeing is crucial because we can choose to see a fraction of the whole picture, although we can't, you know, unless we go really inward and like the Buddha and just remember everything. That's definitely another avenue. But I'm talking about our reality here and Terra and going through this journey, having an experience with someone else, especially if we choose to see just a fraction of that experience with someone else or the world or your country, your town or whatever, you're losing out on a bigger perspective. And obviously you're going to make choices depending on how much or how little you're looking at. And all these are depending on factors, as I mentioned to you before, where you're at right now as an individual. Are you able to step back and take a deep breath and say, okay, this can go in many directions, you know, what I'm looking at. So it is important, especially nowadays, to be able to take that step back and see that, with discernment, with your heart and mind, not just with your mind. We need to connect those two together to be able to cohesively make decisions. And we're not going to get it perfect, but at this point in time, I think many of us are seeing that we are moving in the right direction. So I hope it wasn't too long, and I hope you got the legits of my experience, and you heard my friend talk about her little wisdom there, nuggets. So the next video, in reference to the series, I'll put it all together and in an intercept, which is the mind, having all these senses together and being able to make better decisions through our thoughts, words, and deeds. So take care. Have a wonderful day, evening, morning, wherever you are. My love. Take care.